What's up, YouTube? Back with another video, and welcome if you're new. My name's GK.
My name's Monica.
And today we are doing a criminal investigation study. Monica has bought one, and so we tried one of these before. We did not accomplish it, but this one we're gonna try to accomplish. Murder mystery is what it's called. Have like all the evidence and like pictures. I don't know if you want to take it out.
So it's basically like a cold case, and we just get it assigned and try to solve it. So this is the assignment. You want to start reading? Read this first.
Our assignment is, it says, as a new detective at Vichy Springs Police Department, you are assigned to work either alone or with your team on the Carrie Underwood case. This cold case began in 1995 with the disappearance of Carrie Underwood and was resumed in 2014 following an earthquake that led to the discovery of what turned out to be Carrie Underwood's body. The original missing persons case had been amended to a suspicious death investigation. You have been handed the complete files in which all information and evidence is included pertaining to the disappearance and subsequent discovery of Carrie Underwood's death. Your new investigation also requires some online tools or sources that were not available at this time the missing person case was first opened. So, and the instruction says you will have access to 3 files: the original missing person file folder,
This one.
murder investigation file folder, and the misplaced file folder that contains hints to the solving of the mystery that is available online. But they gave us like a little link so we can use our phone to go. It says first go through the information in the missing person investigation Carrie Underwood folder. Then go through the murder investigation Carrie Underwood's folder. At this point, it doesn't matter if you mix up materials in 2 folders. Do not look into the misplaced files online unless you are stuck. The misplaced files will give you hints on how to proceed. As you investigate this case, use the suspect evaluation form included with this document. Here you will document the motive, means, and opportunity related to each suspect in this crime. If you can determine who had all 3, you will solve the case. Once all of the evidence is gathered and reviewed, a detective must determine who committed the murder of Carrie Underwood, along with how, when, where, and why. Once you and your detective unit have a unanimous decision, go to the crime lab to enter your accusation. The crime lab is online, and they gave us a link for that too.
Are you ready? Yeah. So we do this one, the missing person investigation first, and then we go into the murder investigation. So this is the missing person investigation file. So what we have first is the incident report. The incident report says, this is from the discovery of human remains, August 26, 2014. Following the earthquake on August 24th, firefighters and EMTs canvassed the Vichy Springs area to survey the damage and assist any residents who might be trapped or in other difficulties. The rear section of the Underwood Cellar building at 2130 Monticello Road had a collapsed wall, and there was a cave in directly behind the building, creating a crevice and revealing a concrete structure. The fissure had split open one end of an underground bunker, later determined to be a wine cellar. First responders were able to make their way inside the cellar, only one end of which had been damaged by the quake. A stairway led up to the office, which is used by Marcia Underwood, along with her business partner, Mark Tollis. Still intact in the underground cellar were bottles of wine, some broken, most of them in fine condition, empty shelves, a table, a small refrigerator not working, a sink, a toilet, and a bed. A broken bottle along with pieces of glass were scattered around. They were collected by a forensics investigator. A watch with a scattered crystal and hooked onto a clip was found next to the body. A watch with a scattered crystal. And it says, see photo. Oh, right here. Broken watch. Also found in the cellar was one dead body. The earthquake was not the cause of death, as the body consisted solely of a skeleton with a metal plate attached to the left ankle. The appearance of the skeleton in the surrounding area of the cellar suggested that there had been no activity in these confines for at least a decade. After a telephone conversation with one of the senior officers, Officer Matlock, back at the police headquarters, it was surmised that the body might not be that of husband of the above mentioned Marcia Marsha Underwood, Carrie Underwood, who disappeared in 1995. It seems that in fact he had not left Vichy Springs but had resided here for 19 years. So these are other crime scene photos that we got. So this one is Underwood investigation crime scene. So this is body, and you can see there's like a bottle of wine. There's a partial fingerprint on a broken bottle. This is the cabin of Miguel Espirito, 2130 Monticello Road. This address was in this report. The address to this house. Or maybe it was in this one? Yeah, it said that the rear section of the Underwood Cellars building. Oh, this is where the cellar was. So this is where his body was found. It was just in the cellar of this place. We have the Underwood Cellars parking lot surveillance. There was one car. And then we have the murder weapon, which is apparently a bottle of wine. And then a tombstone that says, "Here lies Miguel Espirito."
Who's Miguel Espirito?
I have no idea. And I don't know why we're talking about him, yeah.
That's his cabin of.
Oh, that's the guy who owns the cabin, that the wine cellar.
That's the
is
cabin
at.
owner.
And then this is the hidden entrance to the wine cellar, or the crime scene. And then this is the hidden stairwell that you would use to get down to the cellar. And then we just have like, oh, right here, let's look at this one. We have like newspaper clippings. So you want to read these, babe?
One says, by the San Francisco Times, earthquake, Monday, August 25th, 2014, earthquake in Napa. Magnitude 6.0 earthquake in Napa County causes mass destruction. Buildings and lives are torn apart in the San Francisco Bay Area. Biggest shaker since 1989. The next one is human remains found in the bunker. There's a lot to read. Vichy Springs.
You don't have to read the whole thing.
Skeletal remains of a human were uncovered yesterday during a search of the damaged property at Underwood Cellars on Monticello Road in Vichy Springs. The remains were thought to be those of the missing Carrie Underwood since they were found underneath his former office at the winery. Underwood went missing in 1995, though a note suggests he might have left of his own accord. He has not been seen since his disappearance, though his wife said to have received a letter from him postmarked Peru about a decade ago. Investigators said that the completely decomposed body of a male was discovered in a hidden room that was underground adjacent to Underwood's office at the Underwood Cellars showroom, where he was a proprietor. The fact that only a skeleton remains suggests the body had been there for quite a long time, which could coincide with the time of disappearance.
And this one?
August 28th. I'm gonna just keep reading the dates because the dates be important. Thursday, August 28th, 2014. By the Vichy Springs Register. Drought reveals car submerged in Vichy Lake.
The same car, you think, from the surveillance? Like from the parking lot that day?
It might be. This car might be the one that was drowned. We just got a good, just a thought right now.
Okay, we have a lot more papers. Now we're getting into the police reports. So this is basically them questioning like his wife, I'm assuming his brother, questioning just, I guess, people from his life. But I want to know like who these people are first, because we know Marsha is his wife, and I'm assuming that David is his brother, but I don't know who Sandra is. You want to read this first? This is like a timeline of the Underwood investigation.
In 1946, returning Army Captain Lance Underwood, age 38, buys 1905, building and surrounding old vineyards. 1980, the death of Lance Underwood, age 72, son Carrie born 1954, takes over at age 26. His brother, David Underwood, born in 1956, is in grad school, real estate with no particular interest in wine business. The will gives David the historic building Carrie, and the will gives Carrie the vineyard field. Foreman Miguel worked there since 1956 at age of 20. Lance's will gave him cabin in the vineyard. 1982, partnership formed. Carrie, age 27, and school chum Mark at age 28. That's what it says right here. 1983, it says Carrie hires Louise White, age 20, as secretary. Carrie, age 28, meets Marcia, age 30, in a Lucky supermarket. The couple got married in 1986. Friday, March 31st, 1995, disappearance of Carrie, age 41. The interview with neighbor Margaret Lindquist, Monday, April 3rd.
Who's Mrs. Lindquist?
That's their neighbor.
And Miguel didn't give a statement. Was he already dead?
Sandra, all right, 1995, Leonard Banks interviews Mark, which is his partner. David Underwood, he interviews his brother. And Sandra, which is Harry's mistress.
Okay. Let's start with the witness statements then. So let's do the obvious. Marcia Phillips Underwood. This is what she looks like. So Sandra's police statement. Do you want to be the detective and I be Marcia?
Well, we're just gonna go off. I'm the detective and she's Marcia.
Yeah.
My name is Detective Sergeant Ronald McClurk. I'll be recording this interview today.
Do we have to do this today? I have a funeral preparations to make.
Yes, I understand, and I'm sorry for your loss.
I lost him 2 decades or more ago.
Well, this won't take long. It says here you went to the police station on Saturday, April 1st to say your husband was missing.
I went to bed early before he arrived home, which wasn't unusual. He wasn't there when I got up the next morning, and his bed hasn't been slept in.
You had separate bedrooms?
Lots of married couples had separate bedrooms.
How long were you married?
We were married in 1986.
So that would have been 9 years. Did you and he have any troubles?
He did this thing and I did mine. But if you mean with the business, yeah, we had a lot of trouble because of the diseases that had killed off most of our vines. Things were rough for a while, and Carrie was hoping to get one of his sparkling wines labeled as champagne, but that wasn't working out even.
Let's get back to the morning you reported him missing. Did you go to the office before you went to the police station?
Yes, I went to see if his car was there, but it wasn't, so I went straight to the police.
You didn't think to look inside the office? Maybe there was something that could have told you where he went?
I didn't have a key to the building, and it was too early for his secretary to be there, and I didn't have a key to his private office door.
So you mean your husband worked in that building every day and you didn't have a spare key?
Does your wife or girlfriend or whatever have a key to the police station?
What about David? I'm sure he had a key. Was David around much? I mean, he was not only a brother, but the owner of the building as well.
Not much. He hardly went to the office, and he rarely came over to the house. David and Carrie were well interested in different things. They really didn't get along very well, and when I took over the office, I rarely saw David.
In the office, what about the note found on Carrie's desk saying he just decided to take off?
I didn't believe any of that. That wasn't like him, and he was always leaving me notes in the house, but he always signed them C, not with his full name.
Why didn't you mention that to the police?
I was distraught at the idea that he was missing. More so when I saw that the note that he had merely left me without a word. I didn't think about the note until afterwards.
When did you find out your husband was having an affair?
I never found out. I just guessed it from his distance and his late hours. I thought he was having an affair with his secretary, and at first figured she'd be gone too. But when I spent some time in his office after he went missing, I figured it wasn't her. In fact, I kept her on as my secretary when I took over his share of the office.
I thought she didn't go into the office. Oh, there's still more. My bad. And when was that?
I don't know, maybe a week or two after not hearing anything from him.
How do you get along with his partner, now your partner, Mark Toolhouse?
Mark is fine. He's the outside man, and I'm the office manager. Do you want me to give you a breakdown of our duties?
No, that won't be necessary, but we talked to some neighbors who said they saw the two of you in his car on numerous occasions, so apparently you spent quite a lot of time together.
We don't spend any more time than necessary together. We don't do anything socially. I don't drive a car, never did, because of a medical condition. So, anytime we have to go somewhere for our business meetings or winery function, he has to drive me.
So he drives you to and from work every day?
No, I go everywhere by bike, if it's not too far. The office is only 1/10 of a mile away from my home. Even the Oxbow Public Market in Napa is only 3.5 miles away.
And you bike to work in the rain?
If it is really bad out, Mark will pick me up, or Eloise, or Miguel. May he rest in peace.
He died last year?
2 years ago, May 15, 2012.
I have one curious question for you. You never had your husband declared legally dead. Why is that?
I thought he was alive and living with someone somewhere.
You claimed he was alive and that he wrote you about 5 years after his disappearance, yet the typewritten letter you received supposedly from him was from a woman in Peru, as we found out from the fingerprints on the envelope. The same woman, in fact, who ran the B&B where you and Carrie spent your honeymoon. What tipped us off were the two folds in the envelope suggesting it had been folded and mailed someone in an envelope and then mailed back to you.
There's no crime in that.
Well, there may be. It could be fraud, but that can wait. Right now, I'm only interested in whether you had anything to do with your husband's disappearance and murder.
I didn't.
That was it.
Dang! So she forged the letter. I just need a motive, honestly. Why would she want to kill her husband? She was kind of fond of Miguel. Did you hear? She knew exactly the date that he died. She said, Miguel, may he rest in peace. Dang. Maybe she liked Miguel.
Well, she did say when he asked her, the detective asked Marsha, did her and Carrie have any problems? And she said, he did his thing and I did mine. So they was both having an affair on each other.
Had to. And then she also said that David and Carrie didn't get along. So let's move on to David. David Underwood. Here you go, detective. Police report número 2.
My name is Detective Sergeant Ronald McClurk, and I will be recording this interview today.
Do I need a lawyer?
Not if you don't have anything to hide. You were the brother of Carrie Underwood?
Yes, my entire life.
I read an interview in the Vichy record that said your father named your brother after Cary Grant. Who were you named after?
Eisenhower. His middle name, at least. They didn't call me Dwight.
And how close were you and your brother?
Define close.
Did you get along? Did you do things together? Did you fight?
Sometimes, rarely, and sometimes. We were brothers after all.
Maybe you fought about his controlling the entire business of Underwood Cellars while you had the charge of only the building like a landlord.
Is that a question?
Did you resent that your brother had control over the entire business?
Why should I? He had his wines. I had my real estate.
Since you inherited the building, did you know there was a hidden cellar underneath the office?
Yeah, I knew. I was the owner of the building. I had all the plans.
Did you look down there after your brother disappeared?
No, I haven't been down there since I inherited the building. I completely forgot it was there. Why would I think my brother was hiding in the basement?
Speaking of hiding, did you ever have a relationship with Marsha Underwood or with Louise White?
Why? Does that matter?
It might.
You mean to be cleverly saying I was hiding a relationship? Those would be my affairs, if I had any. Affairs, I mean.
Okay then. Where were you on Friday, March 31st, 1995?
How should I know? That was almost 20 years ago. Look, unless you're going to charge me with something, I have better things to do. I'm out of here. I was good, right? I was acting good.
Yeah, so I guess he left quick. Well, he had something to hide because he wouldn't have left.
Definitely. But look, going on with David. This says, on December 1st, 1986. When did he die? 1995. Okay. It says, David Xavier Underwood. They're just listing off his legs characteristics, his physical characteristics. He's left-handed, birthmark on rear side of upper torso, left quadrant, right? Background of David. David Underwood had 1 arrest for a DUI as a teenager and 1 arrest for drunk and disorderly, a misdemeanor under California penalty code of whatever, at the age of 22, and 1 arrest for a DUI that same year for which he was giving 30 days in jail. FBI involvement. Guilty of cybercrime at age 26 when he was convicted of working with Ian Murphy. a year earlier. Under Murphy's leadership, David Underwood hacked the American Telephone Company in order to manipulate its internal clock, allowing his colleagues to continue to make free calls even at peak times. He was given a suspended sentence and placed on 1-year probation. This department had no dealings with the subject since 1983 and learned that he returned to the university and has obtained a real estate license. So he wasn't a good kid growing up. It speaks on his character. Is he sus? Do you think he's sus, like less or more sus than Marsha?
Less.
Right?
Yeah, he's less sus than Marsha.
Okay, we can do witness statement. We don't have a picture for her, but who was Margaret Lindquist?
The neighbor. Mrs. Lindquist, thank you for helping us. I need to ask you some questions again. Only this time I'll be recording our conversation, so just so we have an easy record of it back at the police station.
So they haven't found Mr. Underwood yet? It's been what, 2 days, 3 days?
He went missing 3 nights ago. Now, Miss Lindquist, you said you saw cars in the parking lot 3 nights ago, March 31st in the evening.
Yeah, I noticed there were 2 cars in the parking lot, which was kind of unusual. I mean, sometimes there was Mr. Underwood's car late at night, but usually there were no cars there by that hour, and this time there were 2.
And what time was this?
Oh, sometime after 8.
And how do you know that?
Well, I usually watch Unsolved Mysteries on Fridays, but last Friday I started dozing off as soon as the program started. I was really tired because I had done a lot of canning that day, and so I turned off the TV and I came onto the porch to sit before retiring.
And did you see the cars leave?
Yeah, 1 car left, must have been around 8:30.
Was that Mr. Underwood's car or the other car?
Well, 1 car left around 8:30, and then the other one was gone by 9 o'clock. I went inside and turned on the TV again to see the end of the mystery show, but it had already finished.
So you don't know which car left first?
Well, I couldn't tell which was Mr. Underwood's car. In fact, I couldn't be sure if it was Mr. Underwood's car. It was too dark. I mean, if it were today, maybe I could tell because it's not so dark at 8:30 because the clocks changed this weekend, but Friday, it was too dark.
So you're saying there were 2 cars there after 8 o'clock and there were no cars after 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
And you didn't see or hear anything else that evening?
No, it was the same as every night. Every night the same. Some TV, sitting on the porch. There was one other thing that I thought was strange.
What was that?
Somebody walking. I mean, in the summertime, you might get people jogging along the road, but not in March, and not after dark.
When was this, and how could you tell, how well could you see this person?
It was around the same time after the first car left, I think, but I could be wrong. I don't remember things like when I was younger, but I couldn't see much, just a shadow.
You mean like a silhouette?
Yeah, just a dark shape.
A man shape or woman shape?
Oh, I couldn't tell. He kind of walked like my husband, but my husband passed in 77, so I can't be sure.
But you just said he.
Yeah, well, I couldn't imagine a woman walking out there here alone at night. Can you?
No, I see what you mean. Well, that should do it, Miss Lindquist. If you think of anything else, here's my card.
No problem, officer. Happy to help. I enjoy the company. By the way, let me get you a jar of fresh canned grape jelly to take with you. Okay.
I don't see her as I like
A
this spot
suspect
right here.
at all.
Yeah.
Should we move on to Eloise, Mark, or Sandra?
I want to go to mistress.
Okay. This is Sandra.
My name is Detective Sergeant Ronald McClurk, and I'll be taking your deposition today.
Fine. I'm ready. I have nothing to hide.
Right off the bat, yes, she does. Good, then let's cut to the chase. I assume when the forensic examiners match the woman's footprints found in the underground cellar, it will be matched with your own.
If you mean, was it I who was in the cellar with Carrie from time to time? Yes.
So the bed in the cellar was not just for Carrie when he needed to rest?
I guess you will find my DNA thereabouts as well. We had shared naps, you might say.
Then you are willing to admit you had an affair with Carrie Underwood.
Since you already know that, yes.
Did you have a key to the cellar?
No, access was only through Carrie's office, and he kept the key to his office door and the cellar door. I think his partner had a key too, but Carrie said his partner, would never go down there without him, so there was no chance he would be disturbed.
When you were questioned at the time of Mr. Underwood's disappearance, you said nothing about the hidden cellar.
Well, there was no reason to think he was hiding down there, and no way I could have mentioned it without giving away the relationship Carrie and I had.
Where were you on Friday, March 31st, 1995, the day he disappeared?
I was at home, alone. My son had left for his job in Half Moon Bay.
So nobody can...
No, nobody can confirm I was there. That's what being alone means.
Your lover goes missing and you don't make the inquiries anywhere?
And where would I do that, officer? Besides, I didn't know he was missing until I read it on the paper. I think it was Monday. There was nothing I could do except wait to hear from him.
And did you?
No, never. She's kind of sus for not telling them about the seller, but I don't know. Let's move on to Eloise White.
My name is Detective Sergeant Ronald McClurk, and I will be recording this interview today. You had been Carrie's Underwood secretary for a number of years prior to his disappearance in 1995?
Yes, I started working for him in 1983.
And you were how old then?
20.
Did you ever have more than a professional relationship with Carrie Underwood?
What do you mean?
Did you ever have more intimate connection with Carrie Underwood?
That would be none of your business.
Well, it might be. You were both single at the time you were hired and before he disappeared in 1995 when he was married. There are rumors going around that he was having an affair and a broken love affair, and unrequited love has been a motive for murder more times than people realize.
I heard those rumors, and if some of them were about me, they were wrong. We'd never been out after work, and he'd never been to my house. I finished work around the same time every day around 5, and if Carrie was in the office in the afternoon, he was usually still there by the time I left.
So where'd you go after leaving work that day?
Home, as usual.
And did you go out later?
I don't remember. Probably not.
Can anybody verify you were home all evening?
Well, it's been a long time, but maybe my housemate can.
And what's his name?
Her name is Melody Winston.
How will we be able to reach Miss Winston if we need to?
At the same address you have for me. She's still my housemate.
Let me ask you about underwear sellers. What about the access through a door in his office?
I never knew anything about that. I never saw him use it, and I never heard any sound from underground.
Well, you wouldn't. The ceiling was solid brick. What about a key to the building?
I had the keys made, 4 copies. Me, Carrie, Mark, and David.
And that key also worked on the door to Carrie's office?
No, those keys only worked on the front door. Carrie had his own key to his outside office door. And before you ask, I don't know if we had a set made for anyone else either.
You continued working there after Mr. Underwood's disappearance?
Yes, his wife took over his duties, and to my surprise, she allowed me to stay on as her secretary. It's not really sus.
Nah.
And last but not least, Mark. That's Marsha's partner, isn't it?
Marsha.
His wife.
Oh, it's Carrie's partner in the business. The partnership.
okay.
My name is Detective Sergeant Ronald McClurk, and I'll be recording this interview today.
Okay, sure. Ready?
You were Carrie Underwood's business partner?
That's right. We were friends in school and decided to go into business together in 1982. He took over the company when his father died in 1980. You know about the Phyrexa problem that re-emerged in 1980? I mean, that had nothing to do with his father's death. It was just the same year. Aphids, the Phyrexa microscopic aphids, came from the Mississippi Valley and destroyed 50,000 acres of vines in California because they had rootstock that wasn't resistant. So Carrie needed money to replant almost all the vines. New stuff. This is when Cabernet Sauvignon overtook Chardonnay in California. I invested money and we became partners, 60-40.
And how did that partnership work out?
I mean, we had our arguments, and I'm sure you've heard about those, but partners disagree sometimes.
You were heard often boasting that you did 75% of the work, so I guess these disagreements were that you were only getting 40% of the profit?
Among other things, yeah, there was discussion about that, and Carrie wanted to keep the business small, and I wanted to expand, you know, things like that.
Let me ask you the leading question. Where were you in 1995 on the night of your partner's disappearance? Friday evening, March 31st.
I remember, even though it was a long time ago, because I was home on an overseas call with France. I was talking to the International Committee for Wines from Champagne, asking them whether we could label one of our sparkling wines as champagne. The reason I remember it is because there's normally a 9-hour difference between California and France, but just like it is now, the daylight savings times had already begun in Europe. In 1995, they started on Sunday, March 26th, if I remember, and our didn't begin until a week later, the Sunday of April 2nd. So on Friday, there was an 8-hour difference. I was on the phone for about half an hour at 8:30 that evening, so that I would have been 12:30 in the afternoon in France, around the time Carrie was killed.
Do you have any phone records to prove it?
Not after almost 20 years. Maybe the phone company here on or in France would have a record.
Phone companies don't keep records for more than 2 to 5 years. What happened after Carrie didn't turn up for work on Monday?
I didn't go into the office very much, so I didn't know he hadn't shown up on Monday. The police came by Monday late afternoon. That's the first time I heard he was missing. And a couple weeks later, when Carrie still hadn't showed up, Marsha took over his duties. I always figured Carrie took off with some lover because I could tell he was having an affair, you know. There are signs. Or maybe Marsha sent him away. They weren't getting along too well, and I think she wanted more involvement in the business.
So she just took his place, things just continued normal, you were just still getting your 40%?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Alright.
Marsha just keep looking more sus and more sus. Okay, let's look at this random paper from the Sunrise magazine. It says, let's try it out Friday if I can get away. Make sure there's a lemon in the fridge. C. So this is to Marsha because she said that he always signs C. And they have plans on Friday, which I'm pretty sure he died on a Friday.
Yeah.
And then out of this case file, which was the first one, these are the last two papers. And they're from this law office to Sheriff Bradley on April 6, 1995 and September 2nd, 2014. So I'm going to read the first one and then Bae's going to read the second one. So this is the one from 1995 and it says, Dear Sheriff Bradley, in answer to your inquiry, our records show that in summary, according to the last will and testament of Lance Underwood is their dad, the real estate Underwood cellar was left to his son David, the winery acreage to his other son Carrie, and the small cabin on the property to his foreman Miguel. All monies and other possessions were split evenly between the two sons. The senior Underwood was a widower and his son had not married at the time of his death. Feel free to contact us again. So this is just the lawyers that handle their dad's will. So it was left to David, the seller.
September 2nd, 2014. Further to your letter of Friday, August 29th, we can provide your office with a summary of the salient points in the last will and the testament of Carrie Underwood. Having declared himself of sound mind and body on Monday, November 28th, 1994, the declaration of Carrie Underwood, witnessed by one Miguel Espirito, stipulated that all his assets, properties be distributed as follows. All monies, be they cash, stocks, bonds, bank assets, coins, or paper money, shall be bequeathed to my wife, Marsha Underwood, along with all my personal effects and the property and home at our residence, 2138 Monticello, and the entirety of the content therein.
That's motive.
Yeah.
We found Marsha's motive.
The building, Underwood Cellars, and the land on which it stands shall be bequeathed to my brother, David Underwood.
So David had motive too.
As per the contractual agreement I have with my business partner, Mark Toolhouse, all the land and vineyards thereon shall be bequeathed to him.
Yeah, Mark had motive too. Then this is the last paper from the case. What is it?
The Bureau of Forensic Services.
Oh, this is the examination of the crime scene. So, discovered near the body was a broken bottleneck with a cork still in it, and a bottle fragments and shards scattered around. Preliminary examination of the bottleneck revealed a thumbprint, indicating the bottle had been held around the neck by a right hand, with the thumb point away from the cork. A right hand. Isn't his brother left-handed? Somebody's left-handed.
And which one did you read that on? Gotcha.
I think it's this one. Left-handed. Left-handed.
Who's left-handed?
David. Also found was a broken railroad trainsman's watch. And then they also recovered 3 footprints. One which was Carrie Underwood's. One set was from a woman's shoe, which was Sandra. She already said that was her. And then the third set was from a size 11 shoe. David's out. And that was like one of our main suspects, other than Marsha.
Nah, Marsha was number one.
Well, that was file number 1. You guys are gonna have to wait for part 2. Tomorrow we'll drop it to see if we're able to solve this. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed
Part 1.
Part 1.
And we will continue with part 2. Make sure to like, comment, share, and
subscribe. And
Yes.
we'll see you guys tomorrow for day 12.